One of the things that you did in the book, which I thought was helpful, was you described the ways in which you said, here's the options. Either Satan is in league with the Greys, or he's going to backstab them. He's going to, kind of talk a little bit about that, because I think oftentimes people don't recognize that, again, what you're discussing is the spiritual, in what we would call the biblical fallen sons of God, and the Greys being distinct.
Yes.
How are they, talk about that, because you did it in the book, but.
So I think there's a common misunderstanding regarding extraterrestrials. First of all, extraterrestrial, the notion of an extraterrestrial or even an alien, is by no means unbiblical. The concept of an extraterrestrial is absolutely biblical. We read in Job that the sons of God, the Benai Elohim, shouted for joy when the earth was created. So you have this scene in which you have these sons of God, these Benai Elohim. The earth does not yet exist, and they're shouting for joy as the earth is created. So here we have a pre-Adamic context in which there are these intelligent beings who are in the universe. They are already on the scene in the cosmos, right? They're citizens of the kingdom of heaven, let's say, of this civilization that is the kingdom of heaven, because that's what the kingdom of heaven is. It's a civilization. And they're shouting for joy as the earth is created. So we are terrestrial, because what makes us terrestrial beings is that we were born on earth. In fact, the Bible goes further. The Bible says we were literally created from the substance of the earth. Mm-hmm. We are terrestrial beings. We were made to be here. We were created to govern this place, given authority by God to be vice regents of planet Earth. The sons of God, the angels, are not terrestrial. They were not created here. They're not from the earth. They pre-exist the earth. They are, therefore, by definition, extraterrestrial. The word extraterrestrial means not of the earth. They have an origin other than planet Earth. Their provenance is not planet Earth. They are extraterrestrials. That's simply the definition of the word extraterrestrial, and it is absolutely biblical. There's nothing unbiblical about that term as it relates to this angelic race of beings that we encounter in the scriptures. And they also can also be described as alien, because the word alien means something, well, it means different things depending on what the context is, but in relationship to the human race, an alien is any other entity. Let's limit it to sentient beings. Any other sentient being that is not human, that would constitute an alien. And in a broader context, an alien is somebody is a foreigner that's not from your land. So that's why we call them illegal aliens, or we should call them illegal aliens, the people who come across our borders who are not citizens of the United States. That's the legal definition, an illegal alien. Well, in the same way, in both of those definitions, non-human and foreign to the earth, angels qualify. They are, therefore, alien extraterrestrials by definition. And I'm not, this is not me trying to force a ancient aliens perspective on the Bible. I'm not an ancient aliens guy. I'm a Bible guy. And I'm just accepting what the Bible is telling me and using the correct definitions for the data that we're being given through the scriptures. So now that's the sons of God, that the angelic faction, both fallen and loyal, right? Because they're from the same race. Now, if we deal with these other guys, which I'm sure your audience is very familiar with, the bulbous-headed, almond-shaped-eyed aliens, the little guys, the Greys, who are they? Well, the common perception is that the common Christian perception is that the gray aliens are demons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I understand why people would think that, but we have to go back to definitions. So we have to first define what a demon is. And biblically speaking, if we keep this within the context of the Hebrew Scriptures, there's only one definition for a demon. The definition for a demon is not broad; it's not flexible.
Mm-hmm.
It's become flexible in modern parlance. It's become flexible, but it's not. It's very rigid in the Hebrew context. A demon is a disembodied spirit of a Nephilim, of a giant from the pre-flood world. In fact, that definition was common throughout the ancient world. A daimon, for example, in the Greeks, it was the same thing. A daimon was the spirit that was the spirit of a person that lived in the Golden Age before the Cataclysm. So our definition, the biblical definition, I should say the Hebrew definition, it comes not specifically from the canon text, the canonized text. Rather, more specifically, it comes from the book of Enoch and other ancient Hebrew texts. And in the book of Enoch, we have the origin of the demon. And it's very clear in the book of Enoch that the origin of the demon is when the giants died, they killed each other. It was that God sent an angel to cause them to go to war with each other, to have conflict with one another, and they destroyed each other. And when they died, part of their judgment was that their spirits would not find rest, that their spirits would be cursed, and they would be forced to wander the earth as disembodied vagabonds, that they would have hunger and thirst and presumably all of the desires of the flesh, but without flesh to satisfy them. So this is a curse. So these bodiless wraiths, that's what a demon is. These the bodiless wraiths that proceeded from the dead giants, the spirits of the giants, would wander the earth. They would be accursed spirits. In fact, they would be called unclean spirits, which is exactly what we find Jesus, how we find Jesus referencing them in the New Testament. And furthermore, in the book of Enoch, part of their judgment was that they would wander the earth bodiless until the appointed hour of judgment. And we fast forward to the time of Christ, and we find Jesus encountering these demons. And what do they cry out? We know who you are. We know who you are. And then in two occasions they said, why have you come to torment us before the appointed time? So they recognized that Jesus was the judge and that he was on the earth. And they also knew that it wasn't the appointed time yet. So their response was, what are you doing here? It's not time yet. It's not time. And I find that remarkable that they recognized Christ. They recognized him as the Son of God. And what did Jesus tell them? He told them to be quiet, to not tell anybody who he was, because his testimony wasn't supposed to come from the demons.
Right.
The testimony of Christ was supposed to come through the miracles and of Christ's own testimony, and of course the resurrection. And so that is the only biblical ancient Hebrew definition of a demon. There is no other. So if you have some sort of a demonic creature, grotesque creature, right, that's lurking around in your woods in your backyard, and it looks like a little gargoyle, that's not a demon, according to the scriptures. It's not a demon. The giants aren't demons. Fallen angels aren't. And by the way, the term fallen angel is also contrived. It's not a biblical. That's not a biblical term. Demon is a biblical term, but fallen angel isn't. It's a biblical concept, but it's not a biblical word. But the word demon, it only refers to the unclean spirits, the disembodied spirits, the wraith spirits of the Nephilim wandering the earth. They're those possessing spirits. They're seeking to possess a body. Why are they seeking to possess a body? Because they're hungry, they're thirsty, they have sexual impulses, but they have no flesh. So all they want is to possess flesh and to feel the fabric of the material world once again through a host body. Now, having said that, So now we know that that's the definition of a demon, the only definition of a demon. Now we can examine a gray alien, and we can ask ourselves, does a gray alien conform to the Hebrew definition of a demon? And the answer is very clearly no. Gray aliens are physical creatures, and I demonstrate that in my book. Gray aliens are physical creatures, and they do not display the characteristics of the demons in the New Testament. Every time you find a demon in the New Testament, what's it doing? It's foaming from the mouth. It's ravenous. It's like a psychotic person.
Yeah, breaking
right?
chains, you name it. Mm-hmm.
Breaking chains, screaming, throwing the host into the fire, right? Like epilepsy, fits of epilepsy, wild, unconstrained creatures. Now, let's look at a gray alien. A gray alien, for those who've done the studies on abductions and are familiar with the topic, gray aliens could not be more antithetical to that. They are stoic, robotic. They have no passions. They are not even. I'm not even convinced that they are individual beings rather than, being controlled by some kind of a hive mind. I don't even know what they are exactly. They might not even be they might be part mechanical, they might be biological machines, let's say. And nobody knows, but we do know their attributes, and they are exactly the opposite of a demon. First of all, they're embodied beings. They're not wraiths, they're not spirits. And they're not inhabited by demons, because we know that because of their disposition, which is, again, stoic and dispassionate and robotic, the very opposite of a demon. So I think we can safely say that gray aliens are not demons. I like to have things, I have a very categorical mind.
Yeah.
And I like to have things in categories so that I can understand them. So I don't like to take one word and plaster it over everything, because that doesn't help us. I like to have things categorized. And so demons absolutely exist. There's no question about it. Absolutely. Demonic spirits are real, but gray aliens are not demonic spirits, according to the data.